Hello, my name's Nick Margerrison and this is Late Night Live on That's Manchester. Time now for something a little bit different. Each night on Late Night Live, I've been interviewing some of the people that have been coming into the studio and getting to know them a little bit more. On the sofa tonight, we've been enjoying chatting to Monty Burns, and now we're going to find out a little bit more about him. So, Monty,
Hi.
You're a stand-up comedian and you used to be in the army. It's quite a career change, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I was in the British Army, and then after getting out, I was just out of hobby, basically, just at an open mic, acoustic guitar thing and singing and all that. And I've always liked stand-up comedy, so I just went, you know what, I talk a good stand-up comedy, but I've never actually tried it. And I went on one week and I wrote my set, and I did about 15 minutes and died spectacularly. But yeah, I gave it a blast, and it was just really nice, enjoyed it, and it just kind of grew from there, basically.
So before we come on to the comedy, you served in the forces, so I salute you for that. I have a lot of respect for the troops. Why is it you left?
I'd achieved most of the things I wanted to achieve, most of the things that could have been possible to achieve during my time in the forces. I'm not going to downplay what the forces do, especially now and when I was in, but I'd gotten a little disillusioned with it all, didn't really like what we were doing anymore. Do you know what I mean? Not like mega political and that kind of reasons, but just I didn't like the whole idea that they were still recruiting and kicking people out who were not really as good as they could have been, and they were doing redundancies and stuff like that, and yet still recruiting people in. And I didn't like that element of it. Do
you think there's enough respect for the troops in this country?
There is now. Never used to be.
I think so. What period has that changed?
Coming back from Iraq, being spat on, stuff like that, and then
that happened to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about it? I know nothing about this. Do you want to tell us about it?
No, because I hit her body and nothing's happened since. No, but yeah, really
That's the
bad.
Comedian in you.
Yeah.
Seriously, what happened?
Just a really bad feeling and coming back, and it was very much, no blood for oil, and it was, but it was, hate the war, not the warrior kind of thing. It's the warrior. It was, do you know what I mean? But it was a very bad feeling towards the troops as well, and people didn't really understand what we were doing out there, what we were trying to achieve. But it all changed going to Afghanistan, things like that, a good few years later. You treated with more respect. People had seen Ross Kemp in Afghanistan and stuff, and they're like, oh God, that's what they actually do. And you get you walk into a bar and someone says, oh, he's just come back from Afghan, and maybe you get bought a pint, whereas I would never have told anyone I'd just come back from Iraq, because you'd get.
So are you talking about the first conflict that was the problem, or the second Iraq conflict?
Oh, the second one, yeah.
Right.
It was not the 1991, the subsequent Gulf War and occupation from there on. People hated it. They really didn't like the fact that we were being sent over there, but some misguided people, it wasn't everybody, some misguided people were just very much like, no, you're part of it. And it's not like I was sitting in the barracks one day and go, do you know what we should do, lads? Do you know what I mean? It wasn't my idea. I didn't want to go, you know what I mean?
Because I'm someone who opposed the war in Iraq, but you always walk a thin line with that, and that's why I made a point of respecting your service, because I've got plenty of people that work in the forces, serve in the forces, and it's very important to make that distinction. I wonder, when you were serving there, did you get the feeling that the troops had strong opinions for or against the conflict?
Some people did, some people didn't. Some people, it was just another job. It could have been anywhere. It could have been Bosnia, Kosovo. It doesn't matter. They go where they're told. And this is the thing. We knew why we were there. I mean, occupying Basra, for instance, there's women who've got degrees from Basra University now. And just saying that back in 2003 to 2004, that would have been ridiculous to think that could have gone ahead. So this is the changes we were trying to imply and stop the... there was a Muqtada militia back in the day, and trying to stop them brutalising the people, bombs being set off in marketplaces because they didn't like the way that the government was going to go, and trying to stop that sort of thing. And it does still happen now and again, but it's not as bad as it was, and we've really moved Iraq forward and helped them move in with their own interim government, as opposed to we're just there to nick their oil. And that's not what we were doing at all. But yeah, I understand that's how it might have been played out in the media, etc. So fair enough. I understand why people thought that.
That's interesting. So you go on to do comedy, and your style's quite aggressive. There's a lot of energy in it, isn't there?
There is kind of, yeah. Some jokes you're just very passionate about. Yeah, I'm very.
Because we've got you on toned down mode.
Oh yeah, massive.
We've got you on TV,
you try to say,
no
Nick?
swearing mode.
No, I'm very, if there's something I think other people, like being cheated on, I think everyone has had either that experience or knows someone that has. So yeah, I just go rogue, because it's not a nice thing. But there's other things I talk about that have happened in my life personally. I talk about my daughter, I talk about my missus and stuff. And it's, it's a lot more calmed down. It goes with whatever you're actually doing. But yeah, definitely when I first started off, like getting heckled and stuff, Scottish guy down here, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're gonna get some flack. So it was very much that I thought I had to fight everyone to get them to listen and develop that style. I've come to know that that's not what I have to do at all now. And if you just come out and just pick on someone like, oh, nice jacket, mate, they're like, dude, I didn't say anything. You know what I mean? What's your problem, man?
It's a strange thing. It's locally in Manchester, we have an awesome comedy scene.
Definitely. Yeah,
and I think people take for granted how lucky we are. But the opportunities to get on stage, you can have a go at some of these gong nights and stuff.
Yeah.
I've given it a go. And
all right, okay.
I was no good at it, man. I was rubbish, absolutely rubbish. But that interaction between the audience, I'm fascinated by how that works with your experience.
Yeah. Well, they just have to realise that if they heckle me, they'll die. Now,
right.
No, joking. No, it's learning what jokes will work, cutting the bad ones out of your set, recycling little bits. It's like, well, that didn't work then, but would it work now? Talking from your heart, being yourself. If you go up there and it's all like, oh, hi guys, and it's like, dude, that ain't you. Just talk about what you know, what you're actually like and stuff, and the nerves can get more of you, and you just act a bit different, and they just don't buy it. You're very astute as to what you're actually doing,
So how much of what you do is a character, and how much of what you do is real?
There is one line which I cannot repeat on here, but that is lies.
Right,
the rest
you do
of it's
tell
true.
Lies.
One
lie.
The rest of it's true. It's either two stories merged together, or it is just, that actually happened. I do have problems with this. I did have someone who cheated on me in the past. I do have a missus who, despite being ridiculously smart, is just ever so slightly no common sense. My daughter's a psycho. All this kind of stuff.
Do they mind you saying this kind of stuff?
Well, my daughter hasn't said much about it. She's 9 months old. No, she's no, but my missus, she knows that I have to talk from a very open and honest place, and you have to, within your relationship as well, talking about that on stage, I have to go to a very vulnerable place, and like I'm inviting you into my life and go, hey, there might be similarities here that you can laugh at, and you go, oh, I know someone like that as well, and it's especially about my own stuff. After the army and stuff like that, But yeah, like you were saying about the comedy circuit, and in Manchester particularly, there's a booming comedy circuit. It's fantastic. There's Comedy Store, Excess Malarkey. We were talking about earlier about the food banks and the poverty situation. Excess Malarkey and another comedy night.
Excess Malarkey is a well-known comedy.
Very well known in Manchester.
Clarify that.
They had like a charity drive to try and get food and everything for food banks. So it's very much within the community as well. It's not just like walk in, pay us your money, and here's someone funny. They're very much within the community as well. So it's booming in Manchester. I wish it was like that everywhere, but it's not so much.
So, what's the best way to get into comedy? Because I had someone on only this week who was saying that a good way forward for him was to go on a course and to learn his trade. What would you say?
There are courses you can do, and they'll put you on a gig at the end of the course.
Have you done one?
I haven't, no. I got into comedy through an abusive childhood and an absent father. No, I didn't. I got into it because I was a big fan of it, and I just went on, and like you said, with the gong shows, stuff like that, just put yourself out there and just learn from that. Die a couple of times, You're going to have to be very used to hearing.
And what about books? There are books written on comedy. Do you ever read any of that stuff? Because I've got friends who are into their comedy, their stand-ups, and they're very academic about it.
Yeah. I find that most comedians who are good at what they do are very, very academic, which is terrible for me because I'm not. But yeah, they're very astute. They're good writers. They're prolific with their writing as well, and they write from columns from magazines, television. whatever, you know. And this is the thing, like, to get into comedy itself, you don't have to do anything special. You just turn up, you've got an idea in your head and you waffle on about it, or maybe you're that kind of person that just reels off one-liners, for instance, or whatever it is. But if you've got the passion to actually go display your art in whatever form it is, you know, music or whatever, then yeah, you should go up and definitely try it out. And you know, you'll have definitely more respect for people on TV or going live comedy. You'll have more respect for that, like you probably do now, because you're like, yeah, it's not as easy as it looks, man. Yeah.
I'm saying, my friend, I realised I was a fan of comedy, not a comedian.
Right,
it was quite a shock to discover that.
You'd be surprised though, you know, you're a smart guy, man. You'll have conversations with people and go, oh, that was quite funny. It's just remembering to, you know, do that.
Yeah, that was the bit I had difficulty with. So when you're on stage, what is it that's going through your mind? I mean, how does that
get on with it,
work?
get on with it, get on with it, get on with it.
Do you assess though? I mean, if you do a joke and you don't get a
laugh?
Yeah,
massively. I know now that there's two sets. I do a very cleaner set, which, you know, it's all right. Mm-hmm. And then there's a 20-minute just, you know, there could be hen nights, you know, stag do's or whatever, and it's a bit more brutal, it's a bit more laddish, I guess. But yeah, all that's going through my head is, right, what's the next thing and everything. And if something happens, I'm like, right, I've got to talk about that. Quick, think of something. Oh God, you know, it can be quite thingy. But the more you do it, the more you get used to just dealing with those sort of scenarios and just being more calm on stage. Like, I used to vomit before I went on stage a lot for like a year, but really? I don't do that anymore, really.
You used to get stage fright when
you mega stage. Oh yeah. And
oh wow, how did you? that would put me off before a gig. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, but you kind of get over it. You learn to deal with it and push it down a little bit better, and just get on and actually do your thing that you've practiced, and you know, just actually telling the jokes you want to tell. And you can deal with like a heckler or something, and you know, the actual situation. You could be dealing with like 6 people in a room and there's a dog, and the dog likes your stuff better than those people. Or you could be at one of the big shows and it's a couple of 100 people maybe, and you know, there's bigger laughs there, because even if a fifth of the audience like your stuff out of 200 people, well, there's 40 people. That's a loud laugh, dude. You know what I mean?
Before we let you go, next gig, where is it?
I'm gigging tomorrow night at St Helens at the Laugh Factory with Johnny Vegas, Seymour Mace, El Baldino, Rob Mulholland.
Okay, well, we'll hopefully see you there. You're watching Late Night Live on That's Manchester. We'll be back next.